How can we prove the Buddha is the all-knowing one? And how did he gain his enlightenment without any divine inspiration? And where is the Buddha? Does he exist in Nibbanna or somewhere else? So tonight we are going to discuss where is Nibbanna and what are the differences between moksha, Hindus, heaven, all the other religions, and Nibbana. Now this is very, very complicated subject. Where is Nibbana? So before we try to find out where it is, we must know the meaning of this word, Nibbana or Nirvana. Is there any difference between Nibbana or Nirvana? No, only two languages. Pali, Nibbana, Sanskrit, Nirvana, same meaning. And what is the literary meaning of this word? There are two words here, Ni and Vana. Ni means no. Vana means craving or desire or anxieties. That is called Nirvana. Now there is no difficulty for you to understand, isn't it? If you have craving or desire or anxiety, you cannot experience Nibbanic bliss. If you like to maintain your craving and desire and anxieties, it is up to you. There is nobody to drag you into Nirvana by force. So you have to use your experience, your common sense and understanding why it is necessary for us to gain or to attain this so-called Nibbana or Nirvana. So when you study the history of all those existing religions, we can find out that there is some sort of ultimate aim or final goal in the end that we will reach, we will attain or we will gain something which is unchangeable or everlasting and permanent and so many words. And for that final goal, so different religions give different interpretations and use different words. But the aim is the same. That means since we cannot satisfy with this life or with this world or worldly conditions, so we feel or we believe that there must be something in somewhere where we can experience unchangeable, or if not complete satisfaction in our life. Now, if we try to find out this satisfaction, to provide more pleasure, more entertainment or enjoyment, to entertain our senses or our anxieties or desire. From the Buddhist point of view, it is impossible for anyone to gain unchangeable final goal. Now this is the difference. The nature of our existence here in this world also very complicated. Many religions try to interpret or to convince us that we were created by a God. Then some others ask, for what purpose? So what is the big idea of creating us here to suffer like this? And is it necessary for us to suffer like this to find out our salvation or final goal? And what is the difficulty for the Creator to create at once there in that place which they introduce as final goal? Now these are the arguments. Again, some others try to explain. We are suffering here in this world due to our mistake. Every religion tries to point out something. When we analyze that something, the concept is the same. Now let us take Christianity. God created Adam and Eve. After that, the devil created temptation and developed craving, attachment, and violated the will of God, the free will given to him. Buddhism also talks something similar to that. What is that? Although there is no such teachings in Buddhism that we were created by somebody. We also use the word at the beginning. What is this beginning? Because Buddhism also says there is no beginning. Then what is that beginning? Here beginning means existence, deteriorations, disappearance, and appearance again. That is called beginning. But it is not the real beginning. Goes one round and appear and disappear. When once reappear, we take this as beginning. Now let us take life. We take life from our birth and we regard this as beginning. But we cannot understand this beginning is the end of another one. When something else or somebody else is ended somewhere, and the beginning starts again. And the world system, universe, and everything that which exists, that is called interdependent, relative. So, when the world existed, human beings also started their new life on this earth. We talk only about on this earth, not about the other world system. Different kinds of living beings exist in various other planets or world systems or universes. Some of them are known as Devas and Brahmas and spirits and angels, and so many names are there. But these names are given by us. So when the conditions, environment, atmosphere, the situation, and everything is favorable, then some of those departed living beings in other world systems, according to their craving and attachments that they have developed, their departed consciousness again absorbs. When you refer to the Buddha's teaching, you can understand departed consciousness combined with the existing cosmic energies and elements and matters or whatever it may be, so many known and unknown energies. That is how another life come into existence. Instead of creating a new life here, according to the Buddha, this is not a new life. The life which existed earlier in any part of the universe reappear according to his or her craving or attachment. Then different kinds of living beings, not only ingredients of this craving or anxiety, anger, emotion, ignorance. Now let us take a small baby. We know they are very innocent because their jealousy, anger, craving, cunningness, all the evil forces are still in infancy stage. Later, the environment and when the senses started to develop to grasp object from outside, then develop all the evil forces, at the same time good nature also, good thoughts also. But the potentials are there already. So the environment is very important to control certain evil forces and to cultivate certain good qualities or virtues. Family environment, society, companions, various other sources. By nature, all are good, all are bad. But external forces either develop or subdue. Again, the Buddha has given further explanation. Pabassaramidang bhikkhave cittang tanchako agantukehi upakkilesehi upakkilittang. These sayings you can see in Anguttara Nikaya Sutra Pitaka. He says, at the beginning, our minds are very pure. But the karmic forces are there. You know there are so many mental faculties. Here we are talking only about the mind, mental energy. Mental energy is pure. Later, when the development started, senses, faculties, mind, external forces completely pollute the purity of that mind. That is why we are bad today, because we have learned many of these things after developing our own mind and grasping, learning from outside. Beside these things, we have our own intrinsic, our own character, temperament, moods, attitude, not taken from outside, not given by the parents or anybody else, our own character. And these mental attitudes or behavior is related to our previous existence. Now this is the Buddha's interpretation. So, all those who appeared in this world at the beginning, they were pure. The Christianity also says, if they did not violate the free will given by the God, they can experience eternal life, no sicknesses, no old age, no suffering. So both, and Islam also I think start in the same manner. Start from craving. Christianity also says craving is the main cause of all our problems. Buddhism also teaches the same thing. Our craving is the main cause of all our suffering. When craving arises, that craving is nurtured by our ignorance. We support this craving. Now two forces. When that craving prevails in the mind, then we develop jealousy. When we develop this jealousy, we get angry. That anger creates so many problems, violate all our religious principles and the universal law. Then started killing, destroying. So that is why the whole world has turned into a battlefield because of this. So there is no meaning at all blaming God or devil just to escape. Since we are not ready to admit our own weaknesses, we blame devils or ghosts or spirits or so many others. But our craving is the main cause. The very day when you could manage to eradicate this craving, no more conflicts, no more friction, clashes, evil forces in the man's mind. So whatever method we adopt to overcome all our problems and sufferings and worries and disturbances by keeping our desire or craving in our mind, we never satisfy, never experience peace or happiness. Again, this craving creates fear, suspicion. So mind has no rest. Mind is disturbed by all these forces. In spite of all these uncertainties, sufferings and problems and worries, we are also trying to experience some sort of pleasure, to please, to indulge our senses. To indulge our senses, again we adopt very wrong, very wicked, very cunning, harmful methods to satisfy our desire, anxieties. Again started problems. In fact, today we are not scared of animals or devils. We are scared of human beings. Why we cannot trust human beings? Because of this. Most unreliable living beings in this world is human beings. So by knowing this situation, condition, what sort of problems and suffering physically and mentally that we have to experience, the Buddha has pointed out. There is a method, but this method differs when you compare with other existing religions. That is how another religion come into existence as Buddhism. Because this religion does not encourage people to go and pray and worship, do some offering, or do some sacrifices like animal sacrifices, or perform rites and rituals in order to get rid of all our sufferings or to attain the final goal. But I think all the other existing religions encourage people to go and pray and worship and perform certain rites and rituals. The Buddha was not interested because he knew that this is not the correct method in order to gain this. Then what is the method? This method is called noble life, noble way of life. Whether you pray or not, it is immaterial. If you like to pray, you can pray, no harm at all. You don't do any harm to anybody. But you can pray throughout your life, but you never experience, you never gain this. If you know how to cultivate your way of life by knowing where the mistake is, as I mentioned just now, the mistake is our own craving. So when we try to lead a noble life, we have to reduce this selfish desire. Without doing that, it is impossible from the Buddhist point of view to experience unchangeable, because we don't like changes. What are the changes? Healthy people suddenly get sick, changes. Young people come old, changes. People suddenly or slowly die, disappear, changes. Our mind is going on changing every fraction of a second. We cannot maintain the same mental attitude. Changing. Physical body also going on changing. Formerly we could not understand this, but the modern biology and various other scientific subjects pointed out how changes take place. The Buddha has mentioned all these things earlier, but people could not understand. So I am telling all these things for you to understand why Nibbanic bliss is important. People have created wrong concept and belief to satisfy their craving, to introduce Nibbana. Because we cannot agree, we are not ready to accept, we cannot appreciate, we cannot understand the value of Nibbanic bliss. All our thinking, our way of thinking are based on our craving, to satisfy our craving. That is why we cannot appreciate Nibbana. We want to live. We want to enjoy. If these two things are not there, then what are we going to do? What is the use of that life? This is our way of thinking. Right. We try to live. For our living, we commit enormous mistakes and various wicked and cruel and harmful methods for our living. For our pleasure, we create, every minute we create, either mentally, verbally or physically, by harboring so many evil thoughts in our mind. Then how can we experience peace? How can we experience happiness? How can we experience satisfaction in our life? Are we working to maintain peace, happiness and satisfaction, or are we working to enjoy our life, to satisfy our craving, to satisfy our senses? Then the Buddha says, the way to experience worldly life, worldly pleasure is one method. The way to experience peace, happiness, salvation and satisfaction is another method. So what we are doing, actually we are trying to join both together. We want peace, we want heaven, we want Nibbanna, and at the same time we want to enjoy. We miss both. Because there are some people who suffer physically and mentally in order to enjoy their life in heaven or nirvana, without eating, without sleeping, without taking even medicines when they are sick. Torture. The more they torture, they believe the more easily they can find out their peace and happiness. The Buddha says this is a wrong attitude. Some others just ignore the religious way of life, noble way of life, either by hook or by crook. They try to gain something by developing only their selfishness, disregarding how others feel. So their idea is to experience some sort of worldly pleasure as long as they live. But in the end, they die as unsatisfied people. They never satisfied with their life. In the end, they create more frustration, more disappointments, unhappiness, uncertainty in their life. This is our mistake. Then, where is Nibbana? Because all the others are now above. When we talk about Nibbana, we never say above. Therefore, we do not know where it is. Nirvana is not located in any particular area, in any particular planet in this universe. If it is situated or located somewhere else, and that type of nirvana is not permanent, cannot be permanent. Because anything that which exists is subject to the universal law impermanence. Otherwise no existence. Whether it is life or world or universe or elements, even energy also going on change. Then what are we talking about? Asking where is Nirvana? That means we do not know anything about Nibbana. That is why we ask this question, where is Nibbana? See, our poor mentality, human folly, our ignorance, covered completely, our way of thinking, to understand the reality. We do not know what is reality. We are trying to gain some sort of artificial, superficial, imaginary pictures, objects in our mind to experience, to satisfy human emotion. Remember, to satisfy human emotion. You never experience happiness at the moment. There is no happiness in your mind. Remember, you cannot experience happiness by keeping anxieties, selfishness, fear, jealousy, anger. Impossible. Then what do you experience? That is called human emotional satisfaction. Emotional satisfaction means some sort of thrill, feeling that which entertain the emotion. Next moment, that satisfaction, that emotion change, disappears. Now you can laugh. Next moment, you may cry. Now you are friends. Next moment, you can become enemies. Now you are kind. Next moment, you can become cruel. Now you are honest. Next moment, you can become very cunning. This is the nature of human emotion. Then what is this human emotion, human satisfaction that we experience? It is an interval in between conflicts and clashes. In between there's an interval. Because mind and mind always clashes. Mind and body clashes. In the body there are so many elements and energies, clashes, conflicts, friction. At that time we experience suffering. Every time this friction takes place, we experience suffering. So in between this, there is an interval. That is the moment that we entertain our emotion. We take this as happiness. It is not happiness. If you can understand this, this is more than enough for you to appreciate the nature of Nibbanic bliss. So just now I told you, Nibbana is not located in any particular area. But all the other religions point out heaven, paradise, and Brahma. 3 areas, 3 objects. After that you cling to those words, you develop your own concept, belief. You create your own heaven, paradise in your mind. Oh, how nice. That word nice itself pollutes the purity of your mind. What is nice? The word we use, nice or good, in worldly sense. But Nibbana is beyond this word nice or good or bad. It must be free from good and bad both. Buddha, let us take Buddha. We say Buddha is a good man. But when we define the real nature of Buddhahood or enlightenment, he is neither good nor bad. Because we measure all these things in worldly sense, mundane world. You cannot understand this thing. Then, this question was put to the Buddha by some of his disciples. They say, you always preach Nibbanang Paramang Sukhang. Nirvana is the highest or the supreme bliss. But at the same time, you also preach that by experiencing or gaining Nibbanic bliss, there is nothing for you to indulge your 5 senses. There is nothing to entertain your human emotion or your mind. And there is no feeling. If there is no feeling, if there is no human emotional satisfaction, if we cannot experience sensual pleasure in nirvana, how can you say nirvana is the highest bliss? Now the Buddha is in trouble, because he had to convince. Because this question was put in worldly sense, worldly way. And the Buddha, later Sariputta, his chief disciple, also gave the same answer to another disciple. And the Buddha, later Sariputta, his chief disciple, also gave the same answer to another disciple. So what do you think about the answer? He said, Since there is no emotional satisfaction in nirvana, since there is nothing for you to indulge your senses, since there is nothing to entertain your mind, that is why I say nirvana is the highest bliss. Because when you indulge your senses at this moment, next moment, the same thing that you accepted as entertainment or happiness create problem, suffering, unsatisfaction, disappointment, frustration. Everything that you adapt to entertain your emotion, to satisfy your senses, next moment turn the other way around and create suffering. You can start from the beginning. What sort of worries, disappointments, unsatisfactoriness, uncertainty, fear, tension, suspicion you develop in your mind because of your entertainment, your emotional satisfaction and your craving. Therefore, how can I say that in Nibbanna you can experience all these things? How can I introduce that as highest happiness? But you cannot agree, you cannot appreciate this kind of nirvana. Because every thought that appear in your mind, you measure in worldly way. When you go on reducing, slowly, gradually, you learn. Yes, it seems that should be the solution to see the end of all our suffering. No any other solution. So now we are worldly people. We have not yet attained even the first stage of sainthood, called Sotapanna, not yet. So after attaining this first stage of Sotapanna or sainthood, we learn to appreciate Nibbanic bliss, although we cannot experience fully. After attaining the second stage, Sakadagami, then little bit of vision appear in our mind to appreciate. After attaining the third stage of sainthood, Anagami, then we experience this Nibbanic bliss off and on, like this. After attaining the last one, Arahanthood, fully realized experience, what Nibbana is. Then can explain to others the nature of happiness that they experience at that moment. Because at that time, there is nothing for them to worry, nothing for them to crave, nothing to worry about their future. And craving, anger, jealousy, grudge and greed and all those things are no more in that mind. Complete purity. The real happiness appears only at that moment. Because completely free from all these problems that we are experiencing every day. We are worrying about our income, our family, our jobs and our pleasure, our sicknesses, our old age, our children, our husband and our wife and our property and our jewelry and our country and the politics and millions and other things. Then is there any place in your mind to create happiness in spite of all these things? So Nibbanna means complete liberation, freedom from all these physical and mental problems we are experiencing today. When these problems are no more, we are in Nirvana. Again, another disciple asked this question. To the Buddha, this question is just like small child's way of asking question. So where is Nibbana? Then he gave the answer. Nirvana is in your mind. You create this Nibbanic bliss in your mind by eradicating all your evil forces from your mind, by purifying your mind. So Nirvana is there. Therefore don't think that Nirvana is above or in another planet. Now this is the Buddhist concept of Nirvana. Whether you can agree or like or not, the truth is truth. You cannot change the truth according to your taste. Then, what is the difference between moksha and nirvana? The word moksha in every Indian religion used as final goal. But Buddhism also accommodated this word. Moksha in Sanskrit, Pali word is mokha. Mokho, nirodho, nibbana. You can see this word, mokho, nirodho, nibbana. There are many words. But the concept differs. Then what is the Hindu concept of moksha? They believe that life or the soul, eternal soul, was created by Brahma, Maha-Brahma, great soul, creator God. So this concept of creator God was originated long, long ago, so many thousands of years ago in India and some other country. So this is not a new concept or new belief. Creator God. So Maha-Brahma creates the eternal soul. Then according to their interpretation, this transmigration, going on changing, then enter into the human body. After that, according to the man's mentality, way of thinking, he sometimes pollutes this soul, sometimes purifies. For their purification, they need lot of rites and rituals and ceremonies and offerings and mantras and tantras and recitals and observances and suffering, purifications of the soul. Again they pollute this by developing cruelty, anger, jealousy, grudge and killing and stealing and all the evil things. Pollute the soul. The more they pollute this soul created by the God, the more this soul exists in this world. That existence is called transmigration. Transmigrate from life to life. Then different forms, different shape. But they believe, at that time they believe only human beings, God. Others have no soul. Animals have no soul. Only human beings. The more they pollute, the more they have to suffer, life after life. The more they purify, this one, when complete purification takes place, the Creator, Brahma, absorb this. That means take back. That is called union with Brahma. Final goal, settle down. No more changes. That is called moksha. Same thing, Christianity and other religions also. I think they have borrowed from this and changed some words here and there. God created soul. Again, go back to be with Lord. That's all. Same thing. No difference. To me, there is no difference. So we cannot compare nirvana and moksha. It's the same, entirely different. Because there is no soul, there is no spirit. In Buddhist Nibbanna. Then, what is heaven and paradise? Can we compare with nirvana? No. Because Buddhism also preaches about heaven and paradise and Brahma world. Buddhism or the Buddha did not reject the existence of heaven or paradise or Brahma world. But his interpretation is not like others. Now, all the existing religions joined together. Religious labels or religious brands are immaterial. To go to heaven or moksha, even nirvana. So Buddhists should not think that Buddhists are the only people who can attain nirvanic bliss. No, it is not reserved only for Buddhists. That Buddhist label is not important. Only the purity of the mind is important. You can throw away your label. But unfortunately, some other religionists say that their heaven is reserved. It is a limited company, only for those who believe and accept their religion. Buddhism never says like that. Then, all these existing religions, or the followers of this religion, by doing good deeds, keeping away from bad deeds, by leading a respectable, noble life, can attain or experience heavenly bliss, all of them. Heaven, no paradise, no difference. Buddhists, Hindus, Christians, Muslims and all the other denominations. This is the Buddhist interpretation. Label is not important. Then what is the definitions of this heaven? Buddhists are not ready to accept this heaven or paradise is eternal. This is the difference now. Such places exist in any part of the universe, not only one particular area. Here on this earth also exists. Heaven and paradise exist here on this earth. In other world system also they do exist. Again differ. Then some of them can satisfy after attaining that, experiencing that heavenly bliss. They think this is eternal, everlasting, unchangeable. So they develop the belief that this is enough for them, this is the final goal. Settle down. Settle down means mentally. Then Hindus and Buddhists say that they cannot satisfy. They are not ready to accept heaven or paradise as permanent or eternal places. Hinduism also teaches mental development through meditation to attain jhana, ecstasy or absorption. They also reduce a lot of mental defilements or impurities from their mind. So now Buddhists and Hindus go further. Then reach Brahma states, Brahma realm or Brahma world. Not only one. Buddhism says there are 16 stages. Then Hindus, after their development and the purities of their mind, think this is the final goal. So they decided to settle down there mentally, thinking this is the final goal. They join with Brahma, their creator, thinking this is the final goal. And the Buddhist means not so-called Buddhist, the Buddha says this is not the final goal, this cannot be the final goal. Still, there is some sort of mental impurity, defilement, uncertainty in the mind. No complete purification. Then he taught the method how to get rid of this remaining mental impurities. That is called vipassana. Vipassana meditation. Vipassana means realization. A realization of real nature of anicca, dukkha, anatta. That's all. What is that? Through that understanding, when we analyze all these existing living beings, either in human world or heaven or paradise or Brahma world, wherever they exist, are still subjected to this universal law of impermanence. They do not know that. This we can understand through that analytical knowledge of vipassana. Then the second one is dukkha. Here dukkha is not suffering. Dukkha means friction. Not only living beings, elements, plant life, anything that which exists, experience dukkha. Clash, friction, conflicts, otherwise no existence. That is why changes take place. That is why they decay. That is why they disappear. People cannot understand this. Modern scientific analysis contributes something towards this. How friction takes place in every existing thing. That is what the Buddha directly pointed out. In every existence, in any form, in any part of the universe, whether in heaven or paradise or Brahma world or anywhere, this friction takes place. Again, anatta. Anatta means, in simple language, by analyzing all these existing things, in the end, there is nothing for us to cling. By thinking, there is some sort of permanent entity to remain. Mahayana schools of Buddhism analyze this, elaborated by giving so many other words, sunyata, voidness, and the modern science also explains. When they analyze the whole universe, they say there is nothing in the end. The Buddha says, earlier this is only our concept, our recognition. We perceive things in this way because ignorance is there. We analyze things through ignorance. That is why we cannot understand. Wrong identification. So our analysis is wrong. Now when we analyze certain things according to our layman's way of thinking, scientists say your definition is wrong. When we analyze certain sicknesses and doctors say your recognition, your diagnosis is wrong, that is not the real meaning, and he gives another one. But still they are worldly knowledge and understanding. Now we can see our way of thinking, and scientists, philosophers, and enlightened religious teacher like the Buddha, how he analyzes. See the difference now. When he look at the world and the universe in the eyes of the Buddha, all these living beings, living things and elements and energies are certain objects which exist, change, decay, disappear, again appear, going on round, and this you call round wheel of existence. But we cannot analyze in this way. We create our own imagination depending on our selfishness or our craving, our ignorance, or for our satisfaction. Then, by realizing the real nature of these three characteristics, impermanence, friction, and unsubstantiality, that means there is nothing to accept as permanent entity, although we like it. We like many things, but there is no reality. Then Nibbanic bliss. This is the difference between nirvana, moksha and heaven. I think this is enough. We are in heaven now. So only one question today. Next day, next Friday falls on what day? Any Chinese New Year or what is? Anything? Pardon? Anything? New moon or? So we can continue, isn't it? That is if the belief in the soul is not emphasized in Buddhism, how can rebirth take place without a soul? Next Friday.